Are we gonna keep doing a Meds What's Up side?
I don't know. I'm indifferent on it.
Okay.
Editing Sabrina here. If you don't want to like watch this whole thing, there are going to be timestamps down below, so you can just look at whatever part is going to help you.
Today we're going to be talking about our college experience. I mean, not that we're in college, but like our college application experience and how we applied and the things we learned. Stuff I would have wanted to know before I started applying to college. What really helped me was having like a calendar set out, and like Sabrina has a really good calendar right now.
I had the Google calendars, which I was turned on to, and having all the dates for like looking at all your schools and figuring out exactly when everything is due.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your initial application is due and then you have the supplementary stuff is due at a different time, or you can turn it in later. So make sure you know all your deadlines, and putting them somewhere where you can see all of them just laid out makes life so much easier later.
With early action and early decision.
Early action is non-binding. Early decision is binding.
Okay. But with early decision and early action, I applied early action. Wait, which one's non-binding?
Early action.
Okay, I applied early action to Pratt, but that was an earlier deadline than their regular decision deadline, and I think that I honestly would have missed the deadline because it wasn't near any of the other ones if I hadn't have written everything out.
And to check it in the summer.
Yeah.
Not when school starts.
Yeah, double check everything. So this is something I didn't do, but I should have done. When you're doing the Common App and like all of the applications, each school is gonna have at least one written response. Have people review that before you submit it, because for me at least, like my spelling is atrocious and my grammar's not great. So when I'm just like quickly writing things, so to have someone like look over it is really important.
For your supplementary stuff or even your essay, you can post it onto Reddit. If you do, I don't know what it is / but there is a page where you can post your supplementary stuff, and then people will just give you advice. My friend did that, and they responded to her and they gave her advice on it. If you don't want to ask like a friend or a teacher or anyone else to do it because you don't feel comfortable enough, you can ask online, and then they'll give you advice on it, which is a lot less scary than asking like a teacher to do it.
Yeah. Also with Common App essay, write it on something that tells a story, like in the format of telling a story. Like an example, there's a video that I watched that we'll link below that was really, really helpful to me. It explained how if you tell it in the form of a story, then like recalling an event that happened to you or an event that turns into a life lesson that carried on through your life, or something that sparked the next part of your life that's really important, or something, you know, whatever. Because everybody tells you like, show who you are through your Common App essay. And I think that telling a story about like an event that happened that shaped who you are is a great way to like show that.
Ask someone to review your supplements and your essay, no matter what, 1 billion times. Post it, ask, whatever. You can post on your Instagram. I know people who posted it on their like spams and just had friends read it, or put a link to their Google Docs. Do it. Why not?
Offer to read theirs and then,
swap your essays. Make the story about yourself, something that shaped you and that you can talk a lot about who you are, not what you like.
Yeah. Okay, so for recommendations, make sure that you are asking for your recommendations as soon as you think of it. So you want to get yours in, because not only do you want it to be done faster so you can apply faster, but they might not do it for you if you ask them too late. Yeah, and don't be afraid to remind them later, because there's a good chance they'll forget about it.
But yeah, both of us were a little afraid to like, if we asked them at the beginning of the year and they hadn't done it, say by October, both of us and a lot of our friends too were a little afraid to be like, have you written my letter?
Yeah.
Because it seems rude, but it's not rude. You just ask, I was wondering if there's anything else that you need to finish my letter, and then that'll prompt them to tell you how far they are or remind them in a very polite way that they need to finish it.
Yeah.
and give them a deadline. Don't be afraid to give them a deadline. A lot of teachers like that. I know one of my teachers asked for a deadline. Give them a deadline. I really need it by this date. And then give it 2 weeks, maybe a week if you're pushing it on when you actually need it, because that date tends to mean very little.
Yeah, and then another thing is when you like go to them to ask them to write you a letter, make sure that you're prepared. Have your high school resume with you, because yes, these teachers know you or should know you if you're asking them to write a recommendation for you, but they don't know particularly what you want them to write the letter on. So if you give them your high school resume, they know a little bit more about you, so they can write a better letter.
Right, and then don't be afraid to specifically write something out with points on what you want them to talk about. If I have, say, my English teacher, and then I wanted to go into theater, I would ask her, can you write about how I think about literature, or how I talk about literature so it relates to theater, and how I've interacted in class with that kind of stuff. Tell them exactly what you want them to say, because chances are they want you to do that because they don't really want to have to think too much about writing it. The less work they have to do and the more you put into it, the more chance you're going to get a letter that you love and you want to submit to a school.
Yeah. And the more chance it'll get done faster. When you're applying to colleges, waive your rights to look at it, because it looks better if you're not trying to like see what they said. And my dad's friend, who is admissions office at where the college that my dad works at, said that the ones that waive the rights seem more, I think the word he used was professional. Applying as early as possible is really important, because when you're applying to schools, there's only a certain amount of money that the school has. So as they're accepting more applications, they're giving out more scholarships.
Right. And for rolling admission.
For rolling admission specifically, yeah. So the longer you wait, the less amount of money they have in that scholarship pool. And so if you're needing scholarships, it's really important to apply.
With rolling admission, that is very true to get it in early. With other schools, it doesn't matter to get in early, but it does help you if you do, because after you apply your initial application, other things are going to come up that you need to put in. Like applying to FSU, you send in your initial application, then it says for this specific degree program, you need also this. And I had an issue where I applied and I thought I was good, and then it needed something else, and I had maybe a week to do it, which was not enough time, so I ended up just changing my major to something else so I didn't have to submit with that, or else my application was going to be considered incomplete.
Right.
So the sooner you apply, the sooner you know that you have everything you could possibly need in for that school done.
Yeah, and I can't stress this enough, because this isn't something that I knew at all. After you apply, even if you're done with all the Common App applications, you have to go to the individual website, and most colleges will send you like a code to be able to log into their website, and it'll give you like a checklist for that specific college on what you have left to do. And that, like, a lot of times there's things that you're missing that you would never know about if you didn't log into the specific website of that college.
For SSAR, I did my SSAR, which, if you don't know
what it is,
what an SSAR is when you report all of your grades and all your test scores and stuff, like self-reporting.
Yeah.
And I did all mine myself, and I had my transcript, which your school should print for you. And
it's usually like $1 or $2 to print. And
yeah,
send
if you need another
transcript. Yeah.
So I had my transcript and I had the SSAR, and I just looked back and forth, and it took me probably over an hour to do.
Yeah.
And then with Maddie, I read all her stuff, and then she just typed it.
Yeah.
Which made life
took like 30 minutes.
Very easy. Yeah. So for sure would recommend
get a buddy.
Have a buddy to just read your SSAR. And make sure you write everything exactly as it says on your transcript. If it changes the name, like College Algebra and Trig to COLTRIG,
but COLTRIG.
Do that, because I did it wrong and I didn't read it before, and I had to go back and redo stuff. So That might be obvious. You might have already read that and been like, I know that. But I didn't realize it, and then it took me an extra like 20 minutes because I had to fix a few that I already did.
Yeah.
So just something small to make sure you do.
Have a buddy. Double check what you're doing. When you're applying to like a specific program and they ask you to write an essay about things that you're passionate about and don't specifically mention, in my case, art, then don't write, for example, about, oh, I love art, I'm passionate about art. Write about a specific view or lens of that, like, topic for something that relates specifically to you. So like for me, if it asked me to talk about my passions within art, I wouldn't talk about how I've loved painting since I was 6 years old because I'm going into a fashion major, so I talk about my interest in sustainable fashion and how that affects my everyday life as well as what I plan to do in the future.
Right. And I know someone who is going into engineering, and we were trying to figure out what he was going to write his Common App essay on because he wanted it to be related to engineering, but not say, I love engineering, engineering is my passion because whatever. So he's really into pens. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about how he was going to write about his pens and then the engineering of the pen and how he feels when he uses it, and he thinks about the mechanics of it, and that's something that's
very
doesn't relate
to him.
Exactly, but makes him stand out from the rest of the people who are talking about engineering. So it relates to any subject you go into.
Yeah. You can have something on the topic that you're passionate about. You just have to find your specific lens that is partial to you.
Exactly.
These are a little bit more based towards all my art folks out there. So if you're an art folk, right. What? I don't know. When you're making your portfolios to apply to different schools, Slide Room is the one that the Common App uses. So this is something that I didn't realize for the first two ones that I applied to, and it might be obvious to some people, but after you have a portfolio already in Slide Room, once you go to the link for the next college's
Not done. I don't know why everyone's fascinated that my printer rings.
Because it doesn't make sense. Once you go into Slide Room and you've created a portfolio already, the next time you make a portfolio, if you go to the place that says past portfolios, you can use the pictures and the information that you put in from past portfolios in your future portfolio. And a lot of them ask for different things, but there are some similarities between them. So it saves so much time if you just take the last portfolio and adjust it for that school. When you're making your portfolios, make it, the term that was told to me was a portfolio sandwich. So start strong, end strong. So the pieces that you're most proud of should be at the very beginning and the very end, so that they're impressed when they first look at it and they end being impressed. They leave,
Impressed.
They leave impressed. If you have the opportunity to go to a portfolio review before you submit your portfolio, that's great, and like I would love to tell you about that, but I didn't get to go to one. But I did get to do an online portfolio. So there's National Online Portfolio Day, where you can submit your portfolio to a bunch of different schools, and then if you get in early enough, they'll send you feedback. And I got some feedback on my portfolio about like which ones they thought were my strongest pieces, so I knew which ones to put first and last. But I didn't get a lot of feedback because I didn't get there in time because we had practice, so I couldn't get to my computer before the time was running out. And a lot of people, because it's National Portfolio Day, so many people are in these chats trying to get their portfolios reviewed. So if you're gonna do this, look up the times that the school, because I did mine for RISD and the time slot was 4 to 8, and I put mine in at 6, and I was one of the last 20 people to be reviewed, and I didn't get mine in for any of the other ones. It was too late. So if you're gonna do it, find the time that your school is going and do it. Be waiting. Do it as soon as that time starts, and have someone you trust and who you think is artistic look at your work and tell you ways that you could improve it, because there's always ways to improve it, and you want to be able to be confident in your work. And just because 2 years ago when you finished that piece you felt like it was perfect doesn't mean that you now, who is improved as an artist, is going to still think that that piece is done.
And you don't have to make an entirely new piece.
No.
To have a really great piece. You
Yeah.
can fix something you made 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's something that I feel like I've watched you learn.
Yeah.
That I can fix things.
We can put in, the one that I think of is that the nature girl.
Okay.
I did that, I'll show you, because it's a drastic change from when I painted it 2 years ago to when I fixed it. Because I remember finishing that painting and being like, this is good. Well, no, I hated it at first, but then eventually I was like, this is good. But then looking at it like the beginning of this year, trying to find pieces that I thought were fit enough to put in a college portfolio, I was like, there's no way, like, this isn't quality enough. But then I fixed it, and it ended up going in my college portfolio, so.
We'll put links down below for some of the scholarship apps that we found worked well. There are a lot,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of websites, and a lot of them are nonsense, and they don't really help that much.
Yeah, but
And
there's
then
a couple
other
good
ones are really
yeah.
great.
And also start applying for scholarships over the summer.
Start your college, your Common App, if you do Common App,
Oh, yeah.
Coalition. Any sort of application that you can start over the summer, do it. Put
Yeah.
your basic information in, because you're gonna be kicking yourself later if you
Yeah.
have to put in your social security and then your residency and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. That takes a lot longer than you think.
Yeah.
And when you could have just done it over the summer, when you couldn't do anything else
Right.
for college.
Because even if you're not ready to apply to your colleges yet, getting that base information already done will make your life so much easier once you get back to school. Oh, also something that the admissions officer that my dad talked to said was that with scholarships, the ones before October a lot of those recycle into the next year because no one applies for them. So before October, scholarship prime time. So if you can do your scholarships and get a lot of scholarships done before October, then you're more likely to get the little ones because there's not as many people going for them.
You'll for sure get into college now.
You're gonna do
We
great.
secured it for you.
We're so proud of you.
You're so well. I'm so,
So
proud
good.
of you. I am so proud of you. All right. Make sure to subscribe, leave comment.
Yeah, if you need also any
If you
questions,
need advice, well, I mean, we're here. We answer all the comments, so
I promise you, if you comment,
we will answer. Please comment. Yeah, if you want more stuff, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
If you want a whole art portfolio thing, you can also leave down below.
Yeah.
Because Maddie was thinking about doing that, so we could make a video on that if you want it.
Yeah.
Tell us you want it.
I'd love to talk about my college portfolio, my AP portfolio, whatever you guys want.
Leave a like,
A subscribe even.
a subscribe. Okay. Bye.
Bye.